The front door slammed behind me like a gunshot. And there she was, my wife of 8 years, standing in the kitchen doorway, with her arms crossed so tight her knuckles went white. Sarah's eyes were red-rimmed, but the set of her jaw told me this wasn't about a fight over dirty dishes. "I'm pregnant," she said, voice flat. "And it's not yours. It's Mark's. Deal with it." I dropped my keys. They clattered across the tile like loose change in a beggar's cup. For one heartbeat, the room spun. The smell of the lasagna I've been looking forward to all day curdled in my throat. Then, something inside me, some cold ancient thing, snapped awake. I laughed. Not the polite chuckle you give a bad joke, but the raw, broken sound that climbs out when the world tilts too far. "You haven't heard everything yet," I said, tasting metal. Sarah flinched as if I'd raised a hand. "What's that supposed to mean?" I stepped over the keys and walked past her into the living room. The couch still had the dent where we'd fallen asleep watching old movies last Christmas. I sat in it now, feeling the springs groan like they knew what was coming. "Sit down, Sarah. You're going to want to be off your feet for this." She hesitated, one palm drifting to the barely there swell beneath her sweater. Then followed the silence between us, stretched, thick as the humidity before a Carrick monsoon. Outside, the call to prayer drifted faint from the mosque 3 streets over, the same sound that had lullabied us on our honeymoon. I waited until the last note died. "Remember the night you told me you were working late at the clinic?" My voice sounded steadier than I felt. "3rd of March. You came home smelling like hospital soap and someone else's cologne." Her lips parted, but no sound came. "I followed you," I continued. "Not because I'm a jealous maniac, because the credit card statement showed a hotel in Clifton I'd never heard of. Room 412. I sat in the lobby with a newspaper over my face like some bad spy movie and watched you and my own brother walk out, holding hands." Sarah's face drained of color so fast I thought she might faint. "You knew." "Knew," I echoed. "I died that night, Sarah. I drove to the sea and screamed into the waves until my throat bled. Then I came home and pretended everything was fine because I wanted to be wrong. I wanted you to have a reason. That didn't gut me." She started shaking. "I was going to tell you. I swear." "Stop." I held up a hand. "Let me finish. Because the story doesn't end with your confession. It ends with mine." I reached into my jacket and pulled out the envelope I'd carried for weeks. Inside was a single sheet of paper lab results, black ink on white. I slid it across the coffee table. Sarah stared at it like it might bite her. "What is this?" "Paternity test. Mark took it 3 weeks ago." "He didn't tell you, did he?" I watched her fingers tremble as she unfolded the page. The header read Clearview. Genetics. Probability of paternity 0%. The sound she made wasn't human. It was the noise a heart makes when someone rips it out through the ribs. "No," she whispered. "No, that's not possible." "Possible." I leaned forward. "You've been sleeping with my brother for 6 months. You told me yourself the baby was 8 weeks along, but Mark's been in London for the last 4 months on that consulting gig. He flew out the day after Valentine's. I have the boarding pass." Sarah's eyes darted to the paper, then to me, then to the floor, searching for an escape that wasn't there. "Then whose?" "That's the part one laughed about." My voice cracked despite my best effort. "Remember your girls' trip to Bangkok last December? The one where you came home with a tan and a new tattoo on your hip?" She touched the spot instinctively, as if the ink might still be wet.
I
Hired someone, I said. A friend of A. Friend who does discreet work for insurance companies. He followed you. From Sarnabhumi to a bar in Patpong. You left with a man named Daniel Park. Korean-American venture capitalist. Married, 2 kids in Seoul. Ring any bells? Sarah was crying now. Silent. Tears carving tracks through the mascara. She'd stopped wearing months ago. I was drunk, she said. It was one night I woke up hating myself. One night, I repeated. One night that gave you the only thing
you thought you could weaponize against me.
I stood up slowly. My knees felt like rust. Mark thinks the baby's his. Because you needed someone to blame who wouldn't leave. You picked my brother. Because hurting me twice was cleaner than hurting me with a stranger.
She
doubled over, arms wrapped around her, middle as if she could shield the child from the truth. What happens now, she asked the carpet.
Now.
I looked around. The room at the wedding photo, where we both still believed in forever.
At the
ultrasound picture she'd stuck to the fridge with a magnet shaped like a stork. Now I stopped pretending.
I've
already spoken to a lawyer. The house is in my name. Mom left it to me before she
passed.
You have until Friday to pack whatever you want. After that, the locks
change.
Sarah looked up, eyes swollen. And the baby? I swallowed the lump that had been living in my throat since
March.
The baby deserves better than
lies.
If you want to tell Daniel Park he has a daughter on the way, that's your
call.
If you want Mark to keep believing the fantasy, that's between you and whatever's left of your conscience.
But
you don't get to stay here and raise a child on the ruins of my trust.
She
tried to stand, stumbled, caught herself on the armrest. I loved you, Ethan.
I
still don't. The word came out sharper than I intended. Love doesn't sneak out. At 2 a.m. love doesn't look me in the eye every morning for months and lie with a smile. Love doesn't use my own blood to twist the knife. I walked to the hallway, paused without turning. You broke us, Sarah. But I'm not the one who has to live with the pieces behind me. Her sobs followed like ghosts. I stepped over the fallen keys, opened the door, and let the humid night swallow me whole. Somewhere down the street, a motorbike backfired. The sound cracked, like the last thread of the life we'd built. I didn't look back. For the first time in months, the air tasted